Hey, okay, guess what? I have had a couple of letters, thank you for writing, by the way, asking about illustrating for children's books. I kind of haven't really talked about that a whole lot on this channel, I don't think, just a little bit, but I recently did a picture, and I'll put it right there, of that dog. Yep, that's not that long ago that I did that one. And that's an art piece of, it's an illustration. I differentiate between illustrations and art. I don't really know, there's a fine line, and that doesn't really matter to me. But anyway, I like doing those kind of things. And so when I posted that picture of the dog, what is it? It's a story Robert and I are working on. It is called, tentatively, The Reluctant Watchdog or something like that. Anyway, it's a dog whose job is to be a watchdog, and he's a little bit afraid of his job until, and that's where the ... happens. Whoa, we can't tell you what happens because we don't even know what happens yet. But anyway, so after I posted that, I had some messages from some of you. Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody else who wrote. Sorry, I'm forgetting all the names. You were asking about illustrating children's books. I will tell you this. I am not the person to ask about this. You want to ask somebody? You ask Will Terry, Jake Parker, and Lee White. They have a website. They have a company. They have a YouTube channel, and they have a bunch of stuff. It's called SVS Learn, the Society for Visual Storytelling, I think, is what that means. So I'm going to direct you there. However, I'll tell you what I know and show you some of the stuff I've done. And then I want to show you a picture that I did to kind of illustrate, illustrate the difference in my approach to doing an illustration for a children's book compared to, let's say, a landscape or a portrait or something like that. So just to show you some of the work that Rob and I have done, this is a book called Sea Turtle Guardians, and it's from Robin and me. So it's written by her and illustrated by me. Some of I help write, but this one Robin wrote by herself. It's a lovely book and a lovely story, and it shows the story of how the sea turtles, oops, let me put it in the picture, how the sea turtles lay their eggs down in somewhere in South Florida. And it tells the story of how they do that and what we as humans have to do to respect that. And so it's a wonderful, wonderful book. I'm not trying to sell books here, but at the same time, maybe I am. Here's another one called Seashells. She Sells Seashells. Again, it's a book from Robin and myself. There's Robin, by the way, with me. Yeah, this is another one. Robin wrote this one, and I illustrated it. This is a story about a lady who, there's a picture of her. Oops, here we go. And they find seashells, and they identify the seashells, and they tell stories about the seashells. There's a picture at the end of the book of the children and her walking away. So do I have fun doing children's books? I do. You know, it has a lot to do with my attachment to the story. Here's another one. This one I wrote with Robin. It's called You Count, I Count. It's not about counting. It's about being respectful of each other. And however, it does under the guise of counting. So as you see, the book has big numbers on it, but it also tells a story about being included in on things. How am I doing with my book report? Here's another one, The Cat Who Crossed the Ocean. Robin and I wrote this one together. There's no real rhyme or reason as to why some are hardcover and some are paperback. But this is a story about a cat who crosses over the the waterway between Staten Island and Manhattan. And in his world, he's crossing the whole ocean. Two more I'll show you, and then we'll get to the video. This is the the Chanteuse sleigh ride. What I'll do, by the way, I'll put links. I hope I have links to everything in the description, but this is the Chanteuse sleigh ride. This is a story, again, the story we wrote together. Let me show you a picture from the inside. This is more, from an art perspective, from an illustration perspective, that one was more, I wanted it to be more beautiful, if that makes sense. It's a story about how Christmas songs just happen to appear at Thanksgiving time. And it's the way that happens is the girl who rides the sleigh, it's like a Santa sleigh, but it's a chanteuse. Chanteuse is a singer. So she spreads songs, she throws notes off the edge of the sleigh and makes music happen all over the world. And there's other books that I don't have copies of, but this one, I always like this one. This is called The Diary of Denver Pontiac. And this is like a story about a guy. There's a lot of writing on this one. Maybe it's for an older child, but it's a story about this guy named Denver Pontiac and how what happened in his life. It's very, very kind of a cool story. All right, are you ready to jump into the video? Now, this is a video that I will try my best to explain what I'm doing here. Again, if you're interested in illustrating children's books, I'll put links to Will Terry and Jake Parker and Lee White. I have books by all three of those guys, by the way. They also do books of their own. So I'll put links to those guys. And okay, let's just get started. I have an illustration I want to show you, and I'll tell you where the idea came from. All right, here we go.
All right, first here's the picture. I call it Just Sing, and it's a young girl, and she's singing. So this is a demonstration on how I illustrate for a children's book, and I chose this subject because of the art approach and because of the character development part of it. So there was no reference photo that I was using. This is just me sketching, doodling, and trying to come up with an idea for a face. We don't have a story in the works right now, but I'm thinking about, getting together with Robin and making a story about this. There's a song by Harry Chapin called Mr. Tanner. And in Mr. Tanner, the character Mr. Tanner is a cleaner, a dry cleaner in Dayton, Ohio. And he's, in addition to being a dry cleaner, he's also a baritone, a talented singer. Anyway, his friends convince him to rent a place and put on a concert. And he does, and everybody loves him. But the critics don't give him a great review in the newspaper. And it breaks him. It hurts him so bad that he doesn't sing anymore, except for late at night in his tailor shop. And I just love the message of that song, because quite often in our world we are discouraged from pursuing the thing that we have the most passion for. And we're discouraged not because we're not good at something, but because we don't fit whatever the norm is supposed to be. How many things do we have in our lives because somebody was brave enough to do something out of the norm and stand up against all the pushback? I don't think we would have any changes in music. I don't think we would have any changes in art or any changes in architectural style or clothing fashion. I don't think we have any changes in hairstyles or even in the languages or the nuances of the languages. So yeah, it is without a doubt an important thing to be supportive of the people in your lives, especially the young people who are pursuing something. And I understand the tendency to want to protect somebody from themselves, from going down a path of, a low poverty path or something. But okay, enough of that. Let me get back to this. So what I did here, I'm sorry, I spoke over the whole thing. It's almost done already. But what I wanted to do here was to sketch a young person. It was going to be a little boy, and it turned out more like a little girl. singing. That's all I wanted to do. But I also wanted to have her backlit. I wanted there to be a blue light. I got this idea watching a New Year's Eve video from Times Square. All those big, bold lights that are on in Times Square were shining on the people in Times Square. And some of them were blue, some of them were red, as you know, every color. When the blue one hit the face of the commentator on the news, I just loved the way that looked. How the blue light was cascading across his face from behind. And so that's what I wanted to accomplish here. So this is a painting simply done on a Procreate, on an iPad, I should say, using the Procreate app. The pencil I'm using is the Apple Pencil 2nd generation, I think is what it's called. And I basically just sketched it in and then colored it so that the light did what I wanted it to do. The background was important. You see me now sketching in the background. In order for that light to really look like it's coming from someplace, I wanted to put the background lights similar to what I saw in the Times Square video. And so I just kind of created a simple design, made it bright blue. There, I even made it brighter at that one moment. And the light is cascading across the girl's face. Everything about this painting is from experience. I didn't have a reference photo, as you know, and although I would advise to use reference photos, what I would encourage you to do is to experiment with lighting. Make something brighter on one side than it actually is. Make something darker on one side. Make a glow. On the dog that I showed you in the first part of the video, the light from behind that dog was like glistening off of the wild hairs that were sticking off on the edge of the dog's fur. So, I would encourage you to experiment with lighting. I would encourage you to experiment with shading. And I would encourage you to experiment. Just simple. Experiment with digital, experiment with traditional art. Maybe you're using pastels, maybe you're using acrylics or gouache or something. And speaking of gouache, this painting I just did is digital, but I was using the gouache brush on Procreate, just so you know. So it emulates the look of gouache. Okay, that's it. I hope you found this interesting. I hope it answered some questions about illustrating children's books. Again, please look to some of the people who actually teach children's book illustration professionally. I can tell you that it's fun. I enjoy doing it. As you probably guessed, I've done, I've done covers for other people's books, people who I don't know, people who paid me to do covers. But most of the illustrations I've done in children's books are with books that have been done in-house here with Robin. And so, like I said in the beginning, I'm not an expert on this, but I shared with you what I know. It's about a 14-minute video right now. So in 14 minutes, I shared something that I hope is useful, or if nothing else, entertaining. Okay. All right, kids, I guess I'll go and I'll come back next time I do the next video. One note about writing to me. First of all, if I don't respond, I'm so sorry. It's just so hard to respond to everybody. And I'm so grateful that there is everybody, but don't get me wrong. If I try to click at least the like or the heart button or something. But I do appreciate all of you, and I appreciate when you write. And if you ask a specific question, I promise if I see it, I will answer you directly. I think I probably see them all, but there's the possibility I'll miss one. And if I do, write again and cut me a break. Say, hey, you probably missed it, but here it is again. All right. That's it. I'm done. See you later. What is today? The 5th day of January 2023. We're still going through withdrawal effects from the holidays. All right, bye.